Today, we're diving into something really special, a fictional lost manuscript from the Italian poet Antonia Pozzi, which she called Notebooks from the Threshold. This is more than just a diary. It's a raw, unflinching journey into a mind that's grappling with art, with truth, and honestly, with the sheer weight of what it means to exist.
Right from the jump, the manuscript opens with this line. It's so haunting, and it immediately sets the tone, right? This is going to be a work of stark honesty and deep, deep introspection. See, Pozzi isn't just talking about the weather. She's talking about a kind of light that reveals all the things we pretend to be but aren't, what we failed to become.
So what's at the heart of her crisis? It's not physical death, not in the way you might think. It's about something she calls the death of futures, which is this idea of the slow, crushing suffocation of the person everyone expected her to be. She puts it this way. It's like she's consciously mourning a version of herself that she'll never get to be. It's a full-on rebellion against a future that feels less like a path and more like a cage that was chosen for her by others.
And hanging over this whole internal struggle are the mountains. For her, they aren't some comforting, majestic backdrop. Nope. They are this vast, silent, and totally indifferent force. And it's against that massive indifference that she realizes she has to forge her own meaning, because nothing else is going to give it to her.
Now, this conflict wasn't just happening inside her head. It was mirrored by this immense pressure from the outside world, a social cage built from all the expectations for a woman of her time and her class. And you really have to ask this question because her entire life, as she lays it out in these notebooks, is basically a response to the answers. The pressure was constant, and man, it came from all sides. A life of the mind? Yeah, that just wasn't on the menu for her. Her intellect, her passion, her art, all of that was supposed to be a nice little hobby, something to do before the main event of getting married and having a family. These were the only pre-approved roles available. This quote, it just captures the kind of condescension she was up against perfectly. Her serious, soul-defining artistic pursuit is just trivialized, reduced to this charming little pastime. You can almost feel her screaming on the inside, can't you? And if you think that's bad, listen to this. Her own father, talking about a potential husband, said the man might allow her to continue with her photography. That one word, allow, is just devastating. It shows her rebellion wasn't just against society in general, but against the very people who were supposed to love her the most. So how did she fight back against all this? Well, through her art. But she had to find the right tool for the job. And for Pozzi, this became this really profound choice between two totally different ways of seeing the world. Early on, she felt like her poetry was a kind of performance. She was playing the role of the poetess, giving people the beautiful, sad, lyrical stuff they expected from her. But photography offered something totally different. It was a way to just witness reality, without any pressure to make it beautiful or poetic. It was just a trace. An honest record. And she wrote this amazing line about it. She said, photography taught her what poetry could not, that precision and release are the same gesture. Think about that. By choosing exactly what to frame, by being precise, she found a release from having to perform. She wasn't trying to capture her soul anymore. She was just capturing a single, honest moment of light. And that brings us right back to the text we're exploring. These notebooks are the result of that huge shift in her thinking. They're like her dark room for thoughts, the one place where she could finally drop the act and be completely, sometimes brutally, honest with herself. So out of this crucible of resistance and solitude, she starts to forge her own philosophy. And this isn't some academic exercise for her. It's a way of surviving, a wisdom she learned in those high, lonely places. Interestingly, her suitor, Antonio, introduces her to this philosophical idea from Heidegger, sein zum Tode, which basically translates to being toward death. The core idea is pretty simple. Knowing that our time is limited is the very thing that forces us to live meaningfully and authentically. But here's the thing about Antonia. She doesn't just accept this idea. She pushes back. She wrestles with it. She asks, what if seeing the end so clearly doesn't free you at all? What if it just paralyzes you and bleeds all the color out of life? She was a true philosopher, always questioning. This distinction was absolutely vital for her. People looked at her and saw a lonely, wounded woman, but she insists no, she is choosing solitude,
For her, solitude is this clarifying force that allows her to be truthful. Loneliness is a punishment that's imposed on you. Solitude is a choice you make for yourself.
Okay, so this entire internal struggle with philosophy, with her family, with the idea of love, it all builds to this one single powerful moment of private truth-telling.
She writes this letter in her notebooks that she knows she can never, ever send to Antonio. She can't send it because it would completely destroy their relationship. But she absolutely has to write it to save herself. It's the definitive moment of choosing her own path, even if she's the only one who will ever see it.
And in her own words, she just lays it all out on the table. This isn't really a rejection of Antonio as a person. It's a rejection of the entire institution of marriage and the life it would demand from her. What she wants is so much more elemental. Space, silence, mountains, time. There's just no room for compromise.
But of course, this kind of radical honesty, this absolute commitment to her own path, well, it wasn't without a profound and very painful cost. Choosing truth meant choosing isolation. And this is the consequence. A confrontation with her father ends with this just brutal warning. He doesn't see her choice as bravery. He sees it as a one-way ticket to a future of bitterness and regret, and he completely washes his hands of her.
So ultimately, this is where she lands. She arrives at this stark and incredibly demanding philosophy. Life, for her, isn't about being happy or comfortable. It's about bearing witness to what is true, no matter how difficult or how dark that truth might be.
And really, that's the question her notebooks leave us with, isn't it? Pozzi's journey is this powerful, uncompromising pursuit of an authentic self. But it forces us to ask, what is the real price of that kind of freedom? And is it a price that we ourselves would be willing to pay?